teammates. Give me an arbiter. 3, 2, and 1. Please unlock it. Next time, raise your hand. What can you infer that these people feel? And why do they feel that way? Back to Giovanni, sitting shy in the back.
I think that many people are feeling happy because they're all smiling.
What else can we infer that they feel, and why do they feel that way, Asa?
They feel like proud and they feel happy because they just won a baseball game.
So Asa just made 2 inferences, that they're feeling happy and proud, and that they just won a baseball game. In order to make those inferences, he had to combine text evidence with background knowledge. What evidence from the picture supports that they feel happy? Darian.
The whole team is surrounding one player, so like the player made a home run and they won the final. So, and I know that they made a home run because they're playing baseball. And they're playing baseball like a year.
You got all the way into that text evidence to support the baseball as well. What other text evidence do we have to support that they're playing baseball or that they're feeling happy? Ashley.
Behind them, it looks like they're shouting, and it's obvious that they're winning because behind them it looks like people are standing up. And usually when people stand up in the game, that means they won or something important happened.
What background knowledge supports our inference that they're playing baseball? Ruben. Teammates tracking Ruben in his bow tie.
Some background knowledge was a year or so when Houston Astros won the World Series and crowded around the pitcher.
That is a lot of background knowledge that Ruben has. Raise your hand if you have other background knowledge. Maybe you don't know as much about baseball as Ruben does and you can share it out. Tracking Anthony. What background knowledge do you have?
So when me and my team had won the championship, we were happy, and like at the end, the person who had won us the game, he got the interception. The person who won us the game, we were all surrounding him.
Nice. My background knowledge is much simpler. I know that people wear uniforms and helmets when they play baseball. What is the difference between an inference and a summary? Tracking Rasma.
The difference between inference and a sentence is just something. Is saying I haven't seen the text or story, and inference is trying to figure out what happened and using background knowledge what happened.
It's a little bit deeper. I have a math equation up on the board. Will you read out my math equation, please, Jamari?
Background knowledge plus text evidence equals inference.
In order to make an inference, you're really delving in and thinking deeper than what the text is telling you. You have to ground it in background knowledge, but you also have to combine it with your text evidence in order to have both. Today, what are we learning? Abigail.
We are learning how to support our inferences with background knowledge and text evidence.
Why are we bothering to learn it? Lauren.
Because
Why is it important?
It is important because the best readers for inferences with the text and their own brilliant brains.
Teammates, me on the next page. 1, 2, and 1. And then open up your books to page 17. Page 17. Second inning, it looks like this. Fastest way to find it is it's right after that picture that folds out. It's the next page after that. I know that Lauren's almost there. I know that Darian's there. I can see that Sydney's there. Anthony's there. Nakai's there. And look at that. We're almost all there. Tracking second inning. What's the name of this chapter? Jaden?
A different brand of baseball, Negro League gameplay.
What can we predict that this chapter will mostly be about? Ruben.
It'll be mostly about a game that the Negro League was playing.
Asa, what did you predict? Tracking where it said we had. We had some white umpires from another league call our game once. Darian,
Those poor fellows didn't know what to do with themselves. They made so many mistakes. They came over and apologized after the game. Said they couldn't help it. They'd never seen our type of baseball. Said if they played like we did in the majors, they'd have to make the parks bigger to seal all the fans.
pick up Abigail.
We played a different brand of baseball from the majors. Negro baseball was fast, flashy, daring. Sometimes it was even funny, but always very exciting to watch. People would come early to the ballpark just to see us practice.
We would whip that ball around the infield with such precision, they'd applaud. Think, how was baseball different in the Negro leagues than in the major leagues? Turn and share with your shoulder. Go.
Baseball is different
Because it was
They're different because they play like
flashy, daring.
Voices off, tracking me in 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for your track, Javier. Thank you for your track, Sherlyn. Anthony, I'm waiting for your ice cream. Jamari, I'm waiting for your ice cream. How was it different? Rasmus.
Because it was a fast game and people thought it was more entertaining. Sitting
Lauren, will you share what you answered?
It was sometimes fast, daring, entertaining, and funny.
I love that you pulled daring and fun from the text. Javon?
I think it was different because they had a different type of baseball because the umpire said they'd never seen that type of baseball.
I agree. Let's go back into the text. John, will you pick up where it says we took pride? We took pride in our baseball. Pick up, please, Abem.
We took pride in our baseball, brought our own style to the game, and named our teams to match. Called our subs the Baltimore Elite Giants, the Philadelphia Stars, the Benjamin, Black Browns, the Cleveland Buckeyes, the New York Cubans, the Atlanta Black Panthers, and many more. We could play like we invented the game. We kept the fans on the edge of their seats, turned singles into doubles and doubles into triples just by running hard. We used Blue Foster's bunt and run game to perfection. They don't bunt much today, and it kills us.
Asa.
Sometimes the Cannons will throw the ball behind their backs and get the guy at first, or play shadow ball where the infielders would whip an imaginary ball around the bases. If you didn't know any better, you would have thought they had a real ball. That's how good they were. Lloyd Pepper Bassett used to catch some games in a rocking chair.
Willis Jones used to take a newspaper with a hole in it out to center field and pretend he was reading it. If his team was way ahead and the ball was hit out there, he wouldn't go after it. One of the other guys would have to kill himself trying to get it. Sydney.
A lot of other guys didn't like all that comedy because to us baseball was serious business. It was our means of putting food on the table. But truth be told, some of that stuff was funny. There were a couple guys, Goose Tatum and Richard King Tutt, who were with the Indianapolis Crowns. They had a routine where Goose played the dentist and Tutt the patient. Tutt would fill his mouth with corn, and Goose would act like he was pulling on Tutt's teeth, but it wasn't coming out.
So Goose went and got a firecracker and lit it in Tut's mouth. As soon as it went off, Tut would jump up hollering and spitting out that poem like his teeth were falling out. Had people on their backs with laughter, they would do the same thing every night.
Most of that clowning was done in early days of Negro baseball, before Rube founded the league. The teams that clowned were not allowed in the league because their acts were too much like the buffoonery you would see in the movies. What does buffoonery mean? Ashley?
Things that you wouldn't want to do, like stupid things.
Build on that, Lauren.
It's like, Roadrunner and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
It's like those, and like they're like super hilarious.
Yeah. Darian, build on that. I love the specificity of that example. That really got the word buffoonery right in my head. Darian?
Kind of like what Lauren said, I really like that. So buffoonery is like you're playing around and you're not taking anything serious, and you're a joke.
Just like Bugs Bunny. Let's go back up because I want us to know what that word means when we read it. The teams that clowned were not allowed in the league because their acts were too much like the buffoonery you would see in the movies. Back then, the movies made full-grown Negroes look like fools or children, always telling jokes or dancing. Most of the time it was white folks made up to look like Negroes. It was downright shameful. Rasma. But still.
But still, people will come up to see Negro teams like the Interlacus Stars play. They're good. Well, there are some good players on the team too. Did you know that Major League one champ Hank Aaron played with the Clowns before he went up in the Negros?
Teammates, think. How does the narrator describe how black men were represented in the media? How does the narrator describe how black men were represented in the media? Turn to share your answer with your shoulder partner. Voices off in 5,
Dressed up like
4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks for the count. I want to hear from Darian, and then Jaden, and then Ashley. Teammates, something trying to do.
So the whites, how they treated people. So
How were they represented in the media? So in the movies, yeah.
So they were represented like kids, like how he said they were treated like buffoons because in the text it said the movies made full-grown Negroes look like fools or children, always telling jokes or dancing. Always telling jokes or dancing. Most of the time, it was white folks made up to look like Negroes.
Thank you for giving text evidence to support your answer. Jaden, Bill. Teammates, sending shine to Jaden in the back, please. Lauren, if you can turn so that your head doesn't get so like. I would like to build on Darian's answer. Bye.
I would love to go on your answer because they also acted like fools.
Ashley?
In the text, it said that the Negroes were treated and acted like children, and not much people, they dressed up like that, white people dressed up like Negroes, and it was shameful for them, and they acted like people from the movies.
John?
Because he said that they were treated like children, then it said that the Negroes acted like children in the movies.
Yeah, and I heard someone whisper blackface. Raise your hand if that was your voice. Razma, will you speak to blackface?
It was like an insult, like
Some people would like put like paint the colored instead of as African American.
So in these movies, it was white actors who painted their face in blackface and came out dressed like African Americans in order to mock, make fun, and make them look like fools. We're gonna keep reading, checking out we didn't really know. Raise your hand if you'd like to pick up. Giovanni, I haven't heard from you yet.
We didn't really know how rough it was in the major leagues until some of our guys went up to the majors. Play was a lot nicer. There, in our league, everything was legal. We would do whatever it took to win. Pitchers threw anything and everything. Splitters, shine balls, emery balls, cut balls, you name it. They cut that ball into pieces and
They cut the balls to pieces and had curveballs.
curveballs breaking about 6 feet.
Throw a new white ball to the pitcher, and it would come back brown from all the tobacco juice and what have you. You never knew what the ball was going to do once it left the pitcher's hand. Lauren.
And throwing at a batter was common. The pitcher would knock you down just to mess with your head. Look up at Wells was just a rookie. He found the ball was making toward his head a little bit more than he liked. So you won't find a ball game played without hitting helmets.
Base runners would spike you in a minute. Some of those guys would spike their mothers as if they were blocking home plate. A catcher learned not to block the plate if a runner was coming home. Get in the runner's way, and he'd step up on the catcher's foot. Or run him right over, knock all his gear clear off. Come sliding in with his cleats high. Runners could tear your uniform off with those spikes. Some of those guys would sit in the dugout before the game, filing their spikes, look at you, and say, "This is for you." Those guys were mean, and many of them loved to fight. Teammates, pause here and jot 1 to 2 gists for the 2 pages we read. You have 1 minute, starting now. Go. In the Jim Crow era, we're going to read a little bit more about the Jim Crow era. We're actually going to see some representation of those movies. Number 1. Will you read it out for me, please, Anthony?
Oh, on here.
Question 1.
How did the white Empires most likely feel after calling for the Negro League?
Rigonis is the first person who can find where the text talks about white umpires.
Wait, did we just say it?
Giovanni, I saw your hand go up first.
In Texas, they've never seen a type of baseball.
What What paragraph are you at?
7.
Page 17, paragraph,
First.
first paragraph. Will you read that whole paragraph out for us, please, starting with me?
We had some white umpires from another league call our game. Once, those poor fellows didn't know what to do with themselves, but made so many mistakes. They came over and apologized after the game. Said they couldn't help it. They never seen our type of baseball. Said if they played like we did in the major leagues, they had to make the parks bigger to see all the fans.
All right, teammates, I want you to look through that paragraph and choose the sentence that you think is the best text evidence to make an inference about how the white umpires most likely felt. I'm going to give you 1 minute to choose which sentence you think. Ruben's already writing it down. To vote for which piece of text evidence we think is the strongest for inferencing. If I read it out, please raise your hand if it was your piece of text evidence. We had some white umpires from another league call our game once. 3 hands. Those poor fellows didn't know what to do with themselves. Saw 3 hands. They made so many mistakes, they came over and apologized after the game, said they couldn't help it. 2 hands. They'd never seen our type of baseball. 8 hands. Said if they played like that, said if they played like we did in the majors, they'd have to make the parks bigger to see all the fans. All right. So, teammates, even if you have another piece of text evidence written down, many of those pieces of text evidence are strong to make an inference on, but we're going to focus on the one we voted for, which is they'd never seen our type of baseball. I want you to think about what background knowledge you need to add to that text evidence in order to make a strong inference. I'm going to give you 1 minute to record what background knowledge you need to combine with that text evidence to make the strong thing. 1 minute. Starting now. Go. All right, teammates, with a raised hand. Whoop. With a raised hand, what background knowledge do we need? I feel like Ruben is the king of baseball background knowledge, so I want to hear from him first. Tracking Ruben for his king background
My
knowledge.
background knowledge is one time at my game, my championship game, I had an Empire, and they were calling different pitches because it was his first ever baseball, because he used to be a softball Empire.
Razma, what was your background knowledge?
And background knowledge. first and people start to understand it and like people understand it.
John, was your background knowledge similar? Can you share it out, please?
My background knowledge is on social media, there's a new trend. People are unfamiliar to it, but then you start to catch on.
That was really strong background knowledge. Thank you. Asaph.
Wait, can it be connected to the text?
Yes, let's hear it.
You know how in the text it said they came to apologize because they were doing too many mistakes? I want to build on that because one time I came to see the kid game versus my old school, and the umpire was playing unfairly because they let the other team like rob bases, but they didn't let the other team.
And Abed, I want to hear your background.
I would like to add on to my own one. Mine was that they felt ashamed because
You're already dripping into the inference. An inference is our conclusion, or our guess, and our background knowledge is how we got there. Teammates, I'm going to give you 1 minute to get where Abed went. Write down how you can infer fake facts. The empire. Give me an Augie drop. Medium high. 3, 2, 1. How can we infer that the umpires felt? Giovanni,
I think
thank you for turning to track.
they felt bad because they didn't know that type of ball.
Can you say it one more time? I want Darian to hear it.
That's when it's clear that they felt bad because they didn't know that type of ball.
Darian? Teammates tracking Darian?
They felt ashamed because when he said they did everything wrong.
And Anthony. Teammates tracking Anthony.
like how my theory is because like the umpires like didn't feel like they played like that they refereed the game fair, or like they didn't do it fair.
So I feel like they didn't do it fair. Teammates, I feel like you're ready to work on your own inferencing question down below. Asa, will you read question number 2?
Why did Luke refuse to allow teams that found illegal? Please support your inference with evidence from the clip.
You will find that text evidence in the second paragraph on page 18. It starts, most of that pounding was done in the early days of Negro baseball, before Rube founded the league. As you write, I'm going to come around and I'm going to write codes on your paper. I write TE, it means that your answer is not supported by text evidence. If I write BK, it means that your answer isn't supported by background knowledge. And if I write